Kyle Meredith with the weekly feed, joined by the gals and Lucius. Hey, welcome.
Hi, thank you.
It's great to see you guys around.
Happy to be here.
What a whirlwind of a year it's been for you all.
Yeah.
Exciting. Yeah, the busy Wilderwoman is the new records,
yep.
Which is, I think, kind of caught everyone off guard because of all the different sounds and everything through this. And I want to step back because I know as the story goes, you guys met at Berklee and, found a shared love of music and everything. From an outsider's point of view, when I think of Berklee, it's not pop music that comes to mind, I guess because of all the prestige and the reputation that comes along with that. Mm-hmm. So was it ever something, because it almost seems like you'd be snubbed for saying, no, we're going to go into pop music. And you guys make a really unique brand of it, a very different version of it, but it's still, in the essence, it's popping away.
I don't think we ever tried to write pop music.
Yeah.
I think we were just writing whatever we were feeling. And, we're influenced, and that's why we connected at first. We were influenced by so many different types of music.
Yeah.
We were singing jazz before and blues, and we grew up with old school soul music and 60s rock and roll and, glam rock. We were listening to oldie stations with our parents. That's what we both loved as young kids, and I think that's why we connected at first, yeah.
And I don't mean to make it as in like you're not doing a Rihanna album here or anything that. You could still say experimental pop if we wanted to.
Everybody's trying to put a genre, and actually on us, especially because I think the album is so diverse, people are like, so what do you call yourselves?
Right.
And I always get frustrated by that because, well, A, I don't know how to answer it.
Sure.
And B, I don't think it matters anymore. Mm-hmm. I think that you can be so many different things and it works, and it doesn't have to be pop or pop rock or whatever, because I think that we've got soul in there, we've got some folkiness in there, we've got indie rock. Mm-hmm. I think there's a little bit of everything.
Yeah. Was that ever a problem when you guys were writing it? Because, when you're first becoming a band, I think every band is trying to find a direction, who we are and all of this. And when you're coming at so many sounds, did that ever make writing a little bit harder?
I think when we started, we were kind of honing in on the songwriting and the vocal performance aspect of it, and kind of getting that together and getting the unison thing together, and the idea of the two voices as one, and how can we do this. And then when we moved to New York, I think is when we started to get a lot of influence as far as instrumentation. And when we first came to New York, we got into the songwriter scene for a little while, so we had some more folk sensibilities. And then New York has so much energy, and we were feeling that, and anxious energy, but in a good way, and wanting to just kind of rock out more. And so we ended up meeting Danny, and he was very interested in experimenting with sound. He's a total sound guy, and loves different sounds, and loves arranging and all that kind of stuff. So we had written a bunch of songs, and we wanted to try some stuff, see what happened, and he was in the same position at the time, so we paired up and started just experimenting, and that's kind of what happened. So like she said, I don't think we ever set out to have a specific sound, but it just kind of
came together, developed.
Mm-hmm.
And I think experimenting in the studio is only going to sort of, you're going to throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks.
Sure.
And there was a lot of happy accidents. And I think that not only connected all of us, and then Pete came on board as well through the recording process, but there was no band before the recording. So we were
it's
really
a really cool way to do this.
Sort of empty palette, for lack of a better term.
And it is. It's made all of this, all of these interesting, I don't know, you said it is an interesting palette. And coming together, like you said, with that classic rock, growing up, upbringing or whatever, and you get that hints of nostalgia on the record. Mm-hmm. And it seems like to me it would almost take a really conscious effort. Looking back over the last 10 years of artists who have kind of been known as a nostalgia act, even if they're good. The Amy Winehouses and Sharon Jones and stuff. for what you guys do, it almost sounds like you've got your toe in nostalgia, but it would like, was it ever a conscious effort to say, yeah, we contributed, but let's not be that act. Let's not be a 60s throwback act, because you're not.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think so. I don't think we ever thought about that, about what we were or not going to be. We were just trying to, and I think we were so focused on making every song kind of, have its own life, have its own world,
Right.
and create that world for each song. And then, our voices kind of tie everything together. But I don't think there was like a conscious...
Yeah, I mean, I think that era is very attractive because of the songs. They're songs you remember, like we all know them, and they're catchy, and they feel good, and they sound great, and like those were the things that we were just kind of gravitating towards. So I guess that's why we ended up having that flavor. But
Right.
but we just, I don't know, we just stuck to each song, kind of like she said, letting it do its own thing and see what happens. So
Yeah.
Well, I know the voices thing has really allowed you guys to also perform as I don't want to say backup singers because it seems more collaboration, but the San Fermin, and you're working with other people too, right? In more of a vocal, like who else are you working with right now?
with the Rentals.
Yeah,
The Rentals.
Yeah,
Wow.
we're going to be the female voices
That's awesome.
on the new Rentals record,
Yeah.
which I think comes out in April.
I think
I
so.
can't remember
March or
exactly.
April.
And San Fermin, we did all the lead female parts there too, which
What
was
a
really
brilliant
fun.
record that is.
It's great.
I mean, it also seems like it's almost mathematical how you guys work out, voices in that type of a setting.
I mean, he is an amazing arranger, so he had, a lot of it was parts that he had written and ideas for the backup things, but we had a lot of fun with it, and he let us kind of experiment and do.
And I think when he first wrote it, he was having classical singers do the parts, and he wasn't getting the kind of like feel that he was looking for.
Yeah.
And so he had asked one of his friends for some suggestions. I'm sure he asked many of them, but they recommended us. And when we got together, we were really intrigued by the songs, and also because we thought it's a challenge and it's something different. And we try and we do a lot of outside projects just because it's exciting.
Fun. Yeah. Well, it made for a brilliant album on that. I know you guys might be a little bit tired of explaining this part of it, but image seems important. I mean, there is an image to this band. I don't think a lot of artists these days take as much, time to kind of put in on something like that. How did that come about? What conversation was that says this is going to be our thing?
I think, if I can start,
Yeah.
we both were always drawn to artists with a really strong visual presence, and that it was always an extension of the music. Holly sometimes says like dressing the sound, and
Yeah.
I really think that's the perfect description. We're singing as one voice, even though we sing harmonies. Sometimes a lot of it is unison singing, and I think people were, and even us, were having a hard time finding whose voice was whose.
Sure.
And we wanted to sort of have a visual representation of that. And I think it was only natural to, use symmetry as a tool.
Yeah.
And, actually the whole band, I mean, each part is so integral to the next. It's like a machine. We all need each other to function. And when you look at the stage, we don't want people to see one specific person. We want people to see this unit. And I think that was what we were trying to showcase. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Speaking of unit, great seg here. Can you explain the album art a little bit?
Speaking of the unit.
Because it looks very phallic, and I don't know if it's supposed to. Yeah, I'm sure this came up a few times as well.
No, the artwork is from a pop artist named Evelyn Axel from the 60s. She was a Belgian pop artist.
Yeah.
And she actually passed away, and she never really got the recognition that she deserved until more recently. But we had coincidentally came across that piece of hers and found it to be very bold, colorful, and just striking. It stuck out from the crowd. And so we contacted her son, who's now in charge of everything, and he let us use it and was excited for us to use it, and it was interesting. We found out all this stuff after the fact. Like, we went to Europe a few months ago, and we had met up with him, and he said, well, I have to ask, before you found this piece, had you seen any of her other work? And we said, no. And he said, well, she had a fascination with, like, two women, symmetrical women. And she had all these pieces that were, like, kind of like Rorschach-looking artworks that were two women in symmetry. And he just thought that was kind of freaky. And, we were like, wow, that's amazing.
And he gave us these books, and we're just flipping through the pages, and we just couldn't believe it. So it was sort of...
But, I mean, her whole thing was before she was a painter, she was in media. She was like a TV presenter, and she was an actress. And she got really into painting, and she kind of built her career around the idea of making the woman, because before this time, women in paintings were always the object, and she wanted to make them the subject. So now the women in the paintings were doing these same things, maybe sexual things, or being the subject of a piece, but they were the subject and no longer the object. And so I thought, we thought that was a really cool idea. And yeah, it
seems to be a question that's ongoing more and more today in I guess in culture altogether, but so much in rock too. Like, I've talked to a lot of women musicians who hate the question about being a woman in music, and rightfully so. And it seems like, hopefully we're getting past that. But and that's something you're going to face, I'm sure. It's like, the old question of what's it like being a girl in a band with a bunch of guys and that stuff like that. But it does seem like that type of concentration is helping to push through that. I know the album art itself is, it's undeniable. Wish I could say the same thing about your record. It's definitely something memorable. So congratulations on the year so far, and Wilderwoman, great record. I'm sure we'll see you guys around.
Thank you.
Yeah, we hope to be back.
Yeah.